What drives you, Exile? Is it justice? Revenge? Honor? No. It is power. We felt your deeds. Felt their shockwaves rippling through the void. You have our attention.
What's up guys, Pidget here. This low budget build using multiple cheap unique items and utilizing Wind Serpent's Fury to reach this much damage. The skill we're using, Wind Serpent's Fury. You need frenzy charges to activate the skill. The more charges you have, the higher damage will be. Each charge will send out a serpent that knocking back the enemy, and if it hits the terrain, it will release a shockwave as well. The damage coming from the serpent's numbers and the shockwaves, because all of this can overlap with each other. In terms of numbers, 6.1k effective odded damage, which is like 3 times higher than Hammer of the God ability, increasing this very high base damage with various unique items. The first two is very cheap, we're talking about like 15 exalted for both. This two is important. This is where our damage increase is coming from, using Crown of Eyes unique helmet. This will grant us increase and reductions to spell damage, also applies to attacks. Alone this is not doing anything. This is where the next items comes in. Treated like unique focus. It will grant spell damage per 10 spirit. The raw range on this one 8 to 12%. I have 11%. This build has 140 spirit at the moment. So 140 divided by 10 is 14. 14 times 11 is 154 spell damage. This is around 30% of our damage, which is kinda good if we're talking about 15 exalted investment. The other very important unique is our amulet, Beacon of Azish, which is a little bit more expensive. This was around 60 exalted. This is grants us spirit, which is spell damage, and also makes our critical strikes ignore enemy resistance. Our weapon is Tangletongue unique spear, this making possible to reach 100% critical hit chance, making every single attack deal critical strikes, also making our critical damage double. This is also cheap, I paid for mine around 60 or 80 exalted. The rest of the gear is just cheap rares to get my resistance cap and get a little damage from the rings. Because the skill is scaling very well with the frenzy charges. We're getting as much as we can, reaching 7 frenzy charges. Also, we're choosing Deadeye to make our skill count like it was using double amount of charges. When we're pressing our Wind Serpent Fury, we will count as using 14 frenzy charges. This is why we can just one-tap bosses. Setting up the one-shot. First, you need 7 frenzy charges. Put Sniper's Mark on the target. Put down Orb of Storms. Press Infernal Cry. Position yourself in front of the boss, and the boss has to near a wall, and you pressing the Wind Serpent's Fury, and you just one-shot the boss. Keep in mind, I did not spend more than 5 divine on this build. So right now I can only one-shot tier 2 pinnacle bosses, but any tier 15 or 16 map boss with maximum difficulty is not a problem. This time I want to start with the items, because the item combination in this build and the unique items very important, and also cheap as well. Let's start with our main damage source is Crown of Eyes. Increases and reductions to spell damage also apply to attacks. And also you need to pay a little bit, because this item has a downside. It has minus 10% fire resistance, but that is very easily can be countered with gear and a little, rune in the helmet, for example. And also gives you attributes and a little energy shield, because we're taking the subterfuge mask, so this helmet is giving us almost 400 evasion, which is kinda good. The corruption on this one doesn't matter, guys. Every single player is corrupting these ones for the double socket and so on, so you don't need to worry about this. This is, I just got it, so the mana regen is not doing anything because my mana regen is more than like 70, so I can just easily spam my ability without losing mana, as you can see here, so you don't need to worry about that at all. Another cheap unique item, 3D light. This is where we were utilizing the spell damage to attacks modifier from the unique helmet, and we were getting 11% spell damage per 10 spirit, and also this can go up to 15, but that versions is very expensive because that's a corruption outcome. So technically you can reach very high amount of spell damage and reach much better damage than currently I have, but my base idea was keep budget low as possible. I settled down with this for like, I think I paid for this because it has 2 sockets for like 5 exalted, I think. Yeah, it was 5 exalted, so it was very cheap, this combination. And the next item is the Beacon of Azish. So this was a little bit more expensive because this is used many, you know, Amazon Lightning Spear build, and the reason for this we using this because this grants a spirit that's also spell damage, and also critical hits ignore enemy monster elemental resistances. And this is why we don't need to take on the tree 1 single point of penetration or anything, so we can just, you know, move on around the tree and get more crit damage and damage on the tree without spending, you know, points on the penetrations. And also because this build have 100% critical hit chance, we just ignoring the enemy elemental resistance, so we don't need to worry about that at all. And the another one, as you can see here, Tangle Tongue. So this was already seen multiple times in my Amazon build, and honestly this spear is just insane. So the main reason we're using this because this is grants us a very high amount of critical hit chance, as you can see here, almost 24% alone, and it has a line forks critical hits and forks critical hits making or critical damage roll twice, and if the rolls is successful, then you will getting double amount of critical damage multiplier, which is very huge. And I think this build will reach almost 2k. Yes, 2k critical hit damage. So if you're combining, you know, the base damage from the Wind Serpent with frenzy charges and this one, it's absolutely mind-blowing how much damage you can deal with 1 single button press. And the other stuff, guys, so as you can see here, look at these gloves, I don't even know. So honestly, that was like in my stash and it was up for like 20 exalted, very long time. Nobody was purchased it, so I was just, you know what, let's use this one. This is a very cheap one. You can get much better than this, and also more energy shield and so on. Only thing matters on the gloves, guys, the odd dead damage, because the build is liking the odd dead damage because we have like 6.1k effective odd dead damage. So everything that is increasing that number is just flat number, is just very good. And the boots also, guys, you can see here, it's not even worth to even mentioning. It's I just using for capping my resistance and get a little movement speed. This is also I would say very cheap item, so it's not even worth to even think about this is expensive. I'm using a bat here as well. It has a life and also grants us double resistance, and the main reason I was needed a new bat because this has 3 charm slots, so we can use a lightning damage charm, a stun charm, and a immunity to freeze charm. This 3 is pretty damn good, you know, because very often you getting stunned, so this will save you, and also you can get frozen, so this will save you as well. And the body armor, so the body armor was a little bit more expensive. It was, I think, like 80 exalted, so that's kinda, you know, expensive, but we need a hybrid base, so evasion and energy shield, because the evasion is very important and energy shield as well. You can see here we have 1.3k energy shield. This is, I'm not saying it's very nice or anything, this is just there, so technically we will not getting one tapped at least by just mapping and by the bosses. So this is a very good purchase, and also as you can see we have a little dexterity on it, and also resistances because we need resistances once again. And okay, guys, so the rings has a very high odd dead damage, guys. Okay, so these two was the most expensive one that we was needed for this build, and you can just, I think, drop strength and so on. So I was just was able to get these rings for decent price. I don't remember exactly how much I paid for it. And now let's talk about the passive tree, because guys, the passive tree is very different than the Amazon. So let's start with the main points. first thing, we need to take the frenzy charge vs 1 here. This is +1, this is +1 here once again, and that is +2, so this is +4, so we were getting 7 frenzy charges. 7 frenzy charges, so or Wind Serpent, we are getting 7 frenzy charges when you using it, and you will count as having double amount of charges, so this is 14. Very, very important part of this build, because this is why you need to be a Deadeye and not an Amazon. And so reaching 100% critical hit chance, you know, taking all the crit notes here, taking the critical wheel here as well, and up there as well, like this, the critical hit chance, more critical hit chance, even critical hit chance here as well. So this is how you reaching 100% crit. And also taking any other, you know, I would say defensive node as well, so we're taking the good old Spectral Ward, taking, for example, the Subterfuge Mask, and taking this, the Mindful Awareness for more evasion and energy shield, and, you know, more damage here, the Crushing Waves, because we will deal critical hit chance pretty often, so that's 3 damage, and, you know, the good old Coming Calamity for more damage for our Wind Serpent Fury, and while we clearing the Lightning Speed as well, and we taking the Acceleration for more skill speed and movement speed, and the good old full wheel, spear wheel, or how you can call it, you know, more damage, more crit damage, so many good things there. And let's talk about the Jewels as well, guys, because the Jewels was also very cheap and very interesting as well. So every single Jewel in this build has spell damage, crit chance, and elemental damage on it. And it's very surprising, it's literally just 5 whole exalted. I paid all of these Jewels 5 exalted per piece. So as you can see here, very, very nice. And every single Jewel is grants you a very high damage and also critical hit chance. So basically, every single Jewel is grants you like 3% crit chance, so we're just getting 9% critical hit chance from the Jewels, and you know, a little elemental damage roll on that one as well. So this is how I reaching right now on the Wind Serpent Fury. Where is it? Here, almost 48k tooltip damage, which is kinda big if you ask me. And yeah, so the Jewels was very, very cheap, guys. It's surprising. I don't know how much will be after the video, but this one is very surprising to me, because this is a free propped damage Jewel. This most of the time should be very expensive if we're talking about any BS, but this is showing exactly this combination, very, very underrated, and no one even care. And also this Jewel combination as well is you know, proving no one really was paying attention for this one. Maybe after the video it will be much more expensive. I can see this will go up like 80 or even divine territory, because guys, a triple damage Jewel is very, very good, especially if you can put 3 in your tree. And now a few words about the Ascendancy. So the most important part of this one is the avidity and the thrill chase. So first thing first, avidity grants you a chance to gain maximum frenzy charges. So we have like almost 40%, I think. No, so we have 35%. You have 35% chance to gain immediately the maximum number of frenzy charges. This is comes in handy when you need to build up your frenzy charges. So when you want to build up your frenzy charges, you put sniper's mark on the target and you just using your spear step, you will be immediately consume the sniper's mark on the target and you will getting frenzy charge, and most of the time you will getting instantly, you know, 7 frenzy charge, and you can start set up your one shot. So this is also very, very important. And the next one, the thrill chase, once again, skills consuming frenzy charges behave as if consuming twice as many frenzy charges. This is why this build is absolutely busted. This is literally just doubling your damage. This is why we we playing as a Deadeye and not an Amazon, because Amazon will not reach these numbers. There is no way you reaching these numbers even if you're trying. And you know, because this is a Deadeye, we can get tailwind, so when you using your abilities, you getting a tailwind stack. This will grants you increased evasion and movement speed as well, which is very very good. And also this build have with stacked tailwind, 76% evasion, so that's very very nice, almost 10k evasion. So this is making us pretty, you know, decently tonky, but not that immortal level. And honestly, I was not really cared, guys, to ascend even further. So the last one will be the wind ward, less damage taken per tailwind, so that would provide you 30% less damage taken when you take a hit. That's, you know, okay-ish, but honestly I was not really care, guys. So literally the build is at level 87 is, I would say, done, because you can just one tap almost any boss in the game. And also because the lightning spear is just absolutely mind-blowingly strong, you can just literally just throw every spear and you just completing the map, right? So it's so freaking easy. And yeah, so now let's talk about the gems, guys, because the gems is very important. So as you can see here, even I using on the spear stab many links. So let's start with the blind. Blind is important, you will see why in a second. We using conductivities also, so making our spear stab is shock the enemy before we even starting the big, you know, damage, because, you know, shocking the enemy before that is making the target take more damage. So we're talking about like 20% more damage taken, and we're using lightning fusion here because otherwise we would not shock the enemy, because if we're not dealing lightning damage, you can't shock the enemy, simple as that. And we have rage here as well, you know, so at least when you hitting the target like this, you getting rage. But also I'm using once again, you know, the orb of stone for rage generation, but you will see in a second what I'm talking about. And now the lightning spear. So lightning spear is nothing really new here, so we're using the lightning spear. Volt, you know, the volt is stacking up. When you're attacking, you losing your volt charge, but for exchange you will deal more damage, and you will chain your ability via chain and so on. And because we just can generate very easily frenzy charges with this build, you will have like 7 frenzy charges, and you will never ever need to worry about pressing in the map your sniper's mic to generate frenzy charge. But we're using here ambush, you know, more critical hit chance against enemies, and also electrocute. So this is how I'm getting, you know, frenzy charges by mapping, because I did not want it to press, you know, sniper's mark and attack, right? So that would be very annoying on a long term. So just you know, one button build, guys, one button for the win. So this is how I'm generating frenzy charges by mapping. And I'm using Herald of Thunder once again, so this is a little clear help. And also innervate, when you killing a shock target, you will getting, you know, innervate buff. You will getting this buff very often, so you don't need to worry about that. And Orb of Stones, once again, I'm just using a very low level Orb of Stones and just Font of Rage. So Font of Rage will grants you rage, as you can see here, but you will see our Infernal Cry will grants us maximum amount of rage as well. But because sometimes you need to position a little bit yourself, right? So you can lose your rage, because you're not gaining rage. You can see here immediately you losing your rage, right? Immediately. So this is just for safety measures. So you keeping your damage increase here, while you can dodge at least in this one. So if you need to dodge, for example, the boss first attack, because, you know, sometimes they can one shot you. I'm talking from you know, experience. And once again, we're using Sniper's Mag here, Inspiration and Arcane Tempo. You know, just less mana cost and just faster casting, and that's it. I'm just casting one single time on the boss or 2 times on the boss, because, you know, the first one should be, if you not have 7 frenzy charges, should be just for the frenzy charge, and sometimes you will not proccing immediately the full amount of frenzy charges. So basically this is how you can, you know, generate frenzy charges, and this you doing this tier you have 7, and we using Wind Dancer here, you know, more evasion and also unbreakable to grant more stun threshold. But guys, I think it's still pretty damn bad, the whole stun thingy in the game, so it's pretty annoying, absolutely. So I can't do anything about this. The easiest way, just kill anything that they want to touch you, and that's it. And we using main here a little defensive, right? And that's it. Ghost Dance here with fast forward and cannibalism, you know, when we killing an enemy, we are getting back our life, and the Ghost Dance we are making us regain or 7% of our evasion rating as energy shield. And you can see here we can do this 4 times a row, so that is very, very strong. And now we arriving, guys, the Wind Serpent Fury. Thinking this ability is almost more expensive than the whole build, so yeah. But it's worth, guys, so it's just yeah, why not you do that. And so Wind Serpent Fury once again. So Wind Serpent Fury has three part. One is the thrust, the serpent, and the shockwave. So the thrust is the first attack. This is how you starting the whole thing. And then you will getting serpents. The more frenzy charge, the more serpents you will send out. So you will sending out 14, yes, exactly 14 serpent. And this 14 serpent, if the boss is standing, let's say here, like here, then it will get shockwaves as well. So the shockwaves dealing that much damage, as you can see, and every single serpent can release a shockwave. So this is why the build has like 6.1k of that effective damage, because of this you know, interaction with the shockwaves. And by the way, this should be nerfed. This is just absolutely insane to me, and I think this is unintended, but they will not nerf this one, guys, because if they would want, they would already nerf this. Links for it. So we're using Consolidated Effect. This is an aerial skill. As you can see, it has a AoE tag, so it will deal more damage. And also we're using Ambrosia here. So support skill consume 20% of your maximum mana flash charge on use, and you gaining 3% extra lightning damage per flash charge consumed. So for utilizing this one even further, you need a very high flash charge amount on your mana flask. So this is the easiest way, is just get a suffix with increased charges. So technically this build right now, you know, when you're using your serpent, you will use 20% of this one. So that like 74% more damage. Yes, 74% more damage, which is very, very good, because don't forget, because we have 100% crit, we will ignore the enemy monsters elemental resistance, so we don't need to worry about that. So this is just a pure almost 80% damage multiplier. And also we're using here the overextend for more critical damage bonus, because once again the Tangle Tongue is making your critical damage bonus double, so that is absolutely strong. And we're using here the blind side, so you cannot inflict blind with this skill, but you will have more critical damage and critical hit. So this is why we have blind on the spear step. So this is why you need hit one or two times the boss with your spear step, so you will blinding the boss, and you will getting a very, very high amount of critical hit chance and damage as well. And lastly, primary armament, you know, that is just more damage. It's simple as that. And here comes the Infernal Cry. So Infernal Cry is very important, because this will grants you 35% extra fire damage per 5 power. So 140% extra damage. Yes, one single button press grants you that much damage. And once again, because this is elemental damage, this is getting boosted by your elemental damage modifiers. And also when you critting, you will ignoring the elemental resistances. So this is additional very huge amount of damage multiplier. And we using here Predetermination for more damage, because this can be, you know, exert or attacks Wind Serpent. And also Raging Cry. Support skill grants 4 rage per 5 hours of counted enemies in range. So this will grants you more rage. So even it can reach even higher, but we were using Enraged Warcry, so this is why I'm really liking to use here the Orb of Stone, because when you can see here I have 10 and I pressing this, I will consume this one to get more damage. Very important, guys, if you forgetting pressing this ability before you doing your skill, you will deal way less damage, guys. You will literally, like, I think this combo is gives you like 50% of your damage, if not more, so it's very important. And once again, we using Combat Frenzy. We was talking about this earlier, so this is how I getting my frenzy charges by mapping. On boss fights this is not doing anything. I'm using here Profusion, so you will getting more charges, you have chance to get more charges, simple as that. What can I say about this, guys? So this combination is absolutely broken, and this we are getting nerfed next league easily. The whole surprise to me, this build is working with that low investment, so that is the biggest problem, I would say, because I'm seeing multiple clips, people is just one-shotting tier 4 bosses, not just tier 2, just like, because they invested more to this build, okay? This build is like 5 divine at max, or a little bit more, okay? But if you want to push further, you can easily. But honestly, I think for me, this is enough. I just wanted to test this one out and just feel how it feels like when you just one-shotting a boss from full HP, right? It was very good experience. And honestly, this is a fun build. So if you not played this one or not played yet Lightning Spear and so on, you give a try and have fun with this, because this build is just fun. I hope you enjoyed this video about my low budget one-shot Deadeye Wind Serpent Fury build. If you have any question, please leave a comment below, or you can find me on twitch.tv/Pidget2. Thanks for watching. I was Pidget. See you next time.